Are there any other tips in there? Do you usually say, hey, this is Michael from, you filled out my form online from Facebook, whatever, or do you find that you don't need to say that, or?
Yeah, I did definitely do a quick little introduction, and then just kind of go right into it. Just kind of just make it. Then, well, before we talk, I say, well, listen, I always do my little value pitch, and for purchase, it's different but similar. Purchase, I say, hey, I've been in the business for 19 years. Just so you know, no pressure at this conversation. I'm not worried if you can buy now or buy 2 years from now. My job is just to kind of see where you're at in the process and see what I can do to help and kind of get a plan for you. And that automatically kind of, I think, takes the stress away because I don't really know what to expect. And then my first question from there is, in your own words, what do you think the biggest obstacle to buying is? Like, what do you think, what's preventing you from buying now? And then I'll shut up. And then normally I can figure out what the deal is. They'll just tell me I don't have a down payment or credit or something like that. And then that's when I kind of know where to take the conversation from there. So then I separate people into kind of like an A and a B category. A to me is you have credit, income, and a down payment to buy. B is kind of like you have two of the three.
Yeah.
Right. Then I can kind of separate people from there. If they're an A, then I send them my application link and I try to encourage them to apply. Now I've been on the fence with that because I'm like, maybe I should try to get an application then. But what I've also learned from following up with those people is really they just told me that they wanted to apply, but really they weren't ready. So then it's like, I kind of question myself, like, do I want to press that? Right? Do I want to press that and force an application out of them? But at the end of the day, if they're really not ready to, if they can't even fill an application to get me a pay stub, how are they going to buy a house in this market?
Right.
So then I'm kind of deducing that maybe they're just not a buyer right now, So I'm working with that. Now, what I have done is like they'll start my online application, but I could see if they've almost finished it, then I could jump in. I'm like, okay, I had another client who I can tell was qualified, but he just couldn't get me documents. He just really struggled. So I'm like, you know what, dude, just text me pictures. They got 80 grand in the bank. He's a 600 credit score, but he's got 80 grand in the bank and the income is there. Like it's a loan. I could do FHA down to a 580 with no overlays. So I can go to a 57 back end and 47 front end. So I got legit FHA. So to me, I'm not scared of that credit score as long as they're not trying to buy a condo, because good luck finding an FHA condo.
Right.
So anyway, it's not efficient, but I'm like, hey man, so they went to his HR department, faxed me documents, and he's texting me pictures of his ID. I'm like, you know what? That's okay. Cause that's a deal,
Right. And he's
Just need to
motivated. Sounds like, he's putting in work on his side. So,
yeah. So for purchase, the jury's out because I need more time. It's only been 3
it's
months.
definitely a longer turn, especially in this market. It's way much longer. I'm sure a lot of people are thinking twice that would have not thought twice, a year ago as well, or maybe 2 years ago.
I went a month with not even really talking to anybody who didn't even seem like they had the 3 points. That's my thing. Credit, income, down payment. What do you have? We'll deal with affordability after. So I went a while without even seeing that, but lately, maybe it's because the ads are maturing. I am pretty active in the comment section. I moderate the comment section, blocking, deleting, and so forth pretty actively. So
that
this seems
definitely can make a difference because it will find, and what I told you, like the algorithm does find people, but being active in the comments just changes the way people see you and your ads and stuff too. So the loan officers who are active, I always see do better. There's no doubt about it. And those who just ignore all the comments and stuff typically don't do anywhere near as well. Yep. So that makes sense. I do think too, and I don't know, since you're using Salesforce, I can't really see your system quite as well, is that a lot of times people will have some qualified leads early, and it just takes a while to finally get a hold of the person, whether it takes them a week to respond, or you're playing phone tag a little bit. And so sometimes they're there and they're a lot earlier than people realize. You just haven't had that conversation with them. And the other thing, and you probably can attest to this, is that your people that are light years from qualifying can't wait to get on the phone with you. So,
they're happy to talk, because they don't have they don't have anything going on. But something in the last 30 days. Here's another thing too. So at first we started off hanging between like $8 and $10 a lead in San Diego and Orange County. And then around early May, it just plateaued and it increased to like 20, $25 a lead. But last month, I don't remember the exact date, I opened up LA and Ventura. And that's a game changer. So I got to look and see, but I'm probably back down to about $10 a lead. Number one. Another change that we did was we removed a picture of a not very attractive house with like a dirt front yard.
Yeah.
That took a little bit of an impact, but from what I understand, I think it took a little while for Facebook to relearn the algorithm based on the next best, picture
Options.
or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, but maybe it was that we did change it from 50 to 80,000 and we removed that picture. I don't know if I can give credit to that or not.
It's always hard to tell when you make a couple changes at once.
I know. At first I was kind of questioning it, but the last month I'm getting quite a bit of people who actually can qualify. In fact, I should probably jump into some of my questions because at 1:00 I actually have a home buyer meeting from a client who I pre-approved, which is cool. But yeah, I mean, as far as what I have, let me see. I have a hot list. Let me see. Okay. I got about 20 people in there right now who I'm chasing down to apply after the application, but I've deemed in the kind of the A status. I'm processing an application for 1, 2, 3, 5 that I should have pre-approved soon, and then have 3. Okay, there's the numbers. 3 pre-approved. And then another 20 that are a little bit older from about a month to 2 months ago who I sent application links who never applied. So I don't know whether those are A or B because I didn't have that. I'm constantly messing with that. Yeah, but I have them that I'm kind of chasing down, but they were good conversations. I would not have encouraged them to apply unless I thought they should based on what they said. And then I have a long-term follow-up list. That's about 55 people deep. And there's probably lots of garbage in there because I didn't know who my client was and I didn't want to prejudge people too soon, but there's definitely people where I'm thinking, oh gosh, I don't think that poor person will ever buy. But I put them in there anyway. So those were all conversations I've had. So I've had plenty of conversations. So I'm not having a lack of conversations by any means. Probably the biggest challenge I have now is time management and how to categorize people so that I could use my systems to act as my external hard drive, so to speak.
Your assistant. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So I can just kind of jump into a list and I know I don't need to remember that person, but I can just remember the theme of the list. Yeah. So that's taken me a lot of work, man, to really
separate
those and make sure that
it's worth it though. We do the same thing.
Yeah. The best thing I've done was create a hot list. So that way I don't jumble up, too many categories. And that's a list. If I do nothing else in one day, I just work out of that list only. So in there, I got like 10 refis. So those are easy. Those are easy for me to call and remember if I called them every other day and slowly following up. Oh, here's a good story for you. Right. So there's a guy, he just liked me. He's a self-employed guy. He connected with like how I do business and how I explain things and whatever. So I just kept every 2 days, just texting him, calling, hey man, this is what's going on. And then anyway, Saturday, he texts me back, hey, let's do it. I'm like, okay, cool. I called him. I'm like, oh, which option do you want? He's like, oh, I didn't even look at your quote. He's like, I just liked you because you kept following up. I'm like, okay, cool. So
I didn't even he's like, well, I'm sure it's fine.
So I guess the moral of the story is it's not always about rate. And I don't think whether you have great rates or you don't, Quicken has horrible rates, horrible. Okay. Like 2 points for the same rate.
Loans.
but they win, but with technology and sales.
Yep.
And if you have great rates, it's just a bonus, but you don't necessarily need it. So yes, I don't know what the conversion will end up at, but I think I can convert at least 10%, And to me, that totally pencils. Even at $70 a lead, that totally pencils for me. So I have no issues with that. And if it's better, 15%, or if I can get it down to $30-$40 a lead, to me, that's even better.
Right. Which technically you're closer to that $30-$40 dollar mark, even though Facebook's stats aren't showing that exactly, right?
Oh, they're dramatically off. Yeah, they're dramatically off by about half. Yeah, I've been emailing you guys just because I think it's hilarious. Purchase, it's more accurate. So go
Yeah,
figure.
it's weird. Yeah, it's super weird. The only other thing I can think with that too is I wonder if people are filling it out and jumping, closing it down real quick. Because if they close it down real quick, it won't fire the pixel either.
I'm getting a lot of duplicate refis, which is so funny because I'm getting people
Yeah,
that fill out the form 2 or 3 times, but then they won't text me back. And I was like, bro, you keep filling out my form, but you don't want to talk. Like, what's up?
it's weird. Yeah, there's definitely more duplicates that happen in refi than purchase. Yep, you get a few in purchase, but in refi, yeah, it's definitely higher. I always find that interesting. And you're right. It's usually the person that you can't get a hold of that's filled it out the third time. And you're like, what the hell is this person doing? Like, does he forget to take his meds or?
Yeah, it just takes practice and quantity. And just like anything else, like when I worked in the Chase call center, when I first started there, I was selling too much. And I thought that I could just win everybody over and I was taking my time. But that wasn't the game there. The game there was efficiency and taking as many calls as you can. And you just spit, I mean, people are just calling for a rate. So it didn't do me any good to build this relationship with someone just for them not to like the rate. So the game there was you just quote the rate as soon as possible. And then if they don't like it, you just get them off the phone, which sounds funny, but that's how it is. And then and then as soon as they think they like the rate, then that's your client. So the more you calls you could take, then the more applications you would get that day. That was the game there. But it took me a
Yep.
couple months to learn that.
Yep.
But the point is, I learned it. So if I got stuck and thinking I'm the best salesman in the world, didn't matter. It wasn't a sales game. It was a sales game after they liked the rate.
Yeah.
But if they didn't like the rate, you didn't waste your time. So this isn't quite like that because the numbers are different. But
Yeah. Yeah.
if someone just wants a rate, I'll just give it to them. Like, whatever, dude, here's the rate, And then if I'm in the ballpark, then that's when we can start talking more. But I found it doesn't do me any good to convince them how amazing, because you can just kind of tell, like, are you a shopper or you're not? If you have 15 quotes out there, then that's okay. Then we can talk about it, and I'll try to sell where I can. But the person who connects with that upfront pitch and is not being super aggressive with me, just like, what's your rate,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's just, whether I could win that or not, I just don't think that's my client. I guess that's the point. So the sooner I was able to figure that out and not stress about that person, like, hey, I'll just quote them a rate and I'll follow up with them, if they were nice, but then I just kind of move on. But the person who takes the time, like one guy, I think I talked to him for 30 minutes before we got him the numbers, and I still haven't quoted him a rate. And he's like, Michael, he's like, I'm a vibe guy. And he's like, you know what? I like you. And the guy's at 5.5%. He's going to save like $1,000 a month. He got a grant loan. So he hasn't applied, but I'm not really that worried about it just yet, just from the situation. But I guess that was the point. It was just taking your time and building the relationship with them and kind of going with their flow. So I think that's actually pretty cool. It's pretty amazing. I don't think there's any other lead source that will do that, Brandon. I don't think so, because Zillow is going to treat you more like a lead. If you buy leads or a bank rate, I don't think you'll get anybody like that. It's just going to be only rate. But this is different. Like, they're talking to me. And I think some of these people are like, hey, I researched you. I Googled you. I did my research on you first, So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I agree. I always try to point out to people that this is social media. It's right in the name. And you do end up with a different thing. And I also find that a lot of times people struggle with this type of lead if they're coming at it from what you're talking about, right? They're used to Zillow or Lending Tree or whatever it is, a call center, and they approach it that same way, and then they don't realize the impact that this is in some ways a little bit more personal. And like you said, yeah, there's going to be different personalities you encounter, and I get that. You'll still have the the whole gamut of people, but if you understand that and do what you're doing and you connect with them from on a personal level, then it's cool. Kind of like even myself, like sometimes people like, I can't tell you how many people I've talked to that are like, yeah, I've been watching your shit for years, and but I just never, wasn't time or whatever. So it's like, okay, yeah, because I'm a real person, and you know that because you've seen my videos and stuff, right? You see my ads, you've seen my stuff. Basically, is what it comes down to, and so it's the same thing here for sure.
Well, yeah, it's really easy to get kind of insecure, and
Yeah.
let's say you talk to 10 people and you just happen to get a streak of people that were only rate, and like I just had a loan yesterday, and this was a past client who I deleted from my database and prayed to God I would never hear from again. And they came back. And I'm like, oh, no.
Yes,
And
I know those. I have those too.
yeah, and I got beat by better by a good amount, man. I was pretty shocked, dude, because my rates are legit, dude. I was at 2.4 for a 20 year, and they were 2.25. But I was so happy. I could have went borrower paid, and I could have won that deal, just to be clear. But that one, I was just very happy to lose it. Very happy not to win.
Yeah,
I don't want him in
sometimes.
my data. Yeah.
Yeah.
He'll cost me 4 deals. Dude, you have no idea
Yeah.
how horrible these people were. I mean, they were really, really horrendous. They're nice, but they're crazy. But if that makes any sense. I mean, it's just they complicate the process. So anyway, it's real easy to start thinking like, man, do I got to start going borrower paid on all these deals and making less? And I've realized now, I don't need to chase the carrot. I don't need to go borrower paid to win these deals, or for retail guys, they don't need all these massive price exceptions. I think you just got to go through enough of them to find your client. And then I think you're also going to have a healthier, happier. It's the same thing with agents. If I don't like an agent, I don't pursue them, and I have good agents that for me, good clients. So yeah, it's funny how it works out. So I think I'm getting like nicer people that I'm going to be happy to have in my database. And then when I go to refinance them years from now, then they probably won't shop me years from now either, because if you win a borrower for rate, you lose a borrower for rate.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was it. I know I'm saying the same thing over, but that was just kind of establishing that confidence that I don't have to, because it's depressing if you feel like you're losing, like, oh man, my rates aren't good enough. What the hell,
Right. Right.
But it's not the case. No, it's really just not. I think people just want to know they're getting a good deal, and they want to know that they're going to have trust.
Exactly.
Yeah.